Time now for our Royals Report. And this week, Prince Andrew still feeling the heat over his alleged ties to convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York says Prince Andrew is not cooperating with the FBI or New York prosecutors, despite promising to do so last month in a BBC interview.
Andrew, however, is denying all that, and a source said to be close to the embattled prince says he hasn't been approached by any investigator yet. BBC royal correspondent Daniela Relph is standing by in London to help us make sense of the confusing back and forth. So, Daniela, what is the latest from the palace?
Hi there. Yeah, it is a really confusing picture, isn't it? And it's very contradictory as well. There has been a real shift in terms of Buckingham Palace on this issue of Andrew's involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Because on Monday, when we heard from that prosecutor in New York saying that the FBI believed he wasn't cooperating, Buckingham Palace was silent. They did not say anything, and that is now the position they're taking. They simply said to us they were not going to give us any guidance on this matter whatsoever. It was down to Prince Andrew's legal team, but they wouldn't advise on who that legal team was either. And that is a change, because previously they had been dealing with Prince Andrew and any legal matters or statements around the issue of his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, but no longer. They say this is now purely a legal matter and they will not be getting involved. But having said that, in a couple of UK newspapers this morning, there are quotes, as you said, from sources close to Prince Andrew, as they've been described, saying that he is angry and bewildered that the FBI would say that he was unwilling to cooperate and that nothing could be further from the truth. They say that he remains willing to cooperate with the FBI investigation, but nobody has asked him. He simply hasn't been asked. So it is a confusing, contradictory picture, and I think we can expect to see things shift in the coming days and weeks.
So as a prince, is he afforded any sort of special protections, or is he basically like a private citizen?
Yeah, you would think that maybe being a prince, being a member of the royal family, his status would perhaps give him a few extra privileges or some extra sort of protection, but it actually doesn't at all. Being a member of the royal family does not make any difference. It doesn't give him any special privileges legally. And I think here in the UK, if there was any sense that he was being given special protection, I think that would cause quite a lot of discomfort amongst the public, to be honest. I think it's always important to say around all of these issues around Prince Andrew that in terms of the Epstein investigation, he is just a witness and he is not a suspect.
So can prosecutors then somehow force the prince to cooperate?
No, they can't. There are no means of forcing him to give evidence or forcing him to speak to the FBI. There is no legal obligation for him as a witness to partake in the investigation at all. But there are a number of paths that could be followed here now. There is a particular agreement, a mutual legal assistance agreement that could be used, which would allow Prince Andrew to talk to the FBI, to give evidence, but from here in the UK, in a UK courtroom, and in private. But there is no sense at the moment that that has been activated. The FBI could subpoena him as a witness. He could be subpoenaed, but again, that doesn't force him to give evidence to the investigation, although it would mean that if he came to your side of the Atlantic, he could be arrested for contempt of court, taken into custody and questioned. I mean, that seems like a very unlikely scenario at the moment. Or you could go down the path of him sort of voluntarily coming to some informal agreement with the FBI and giving evidence or some kind of statement. You'd think at this stage that's perhaps the most likely path he'll go down.
Okay, so turning to another topic. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge attended a Holocaust event in London this week. What was their role in the commemorations?
Yeah, it's interesting, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Kate and William. My sense here in the UK, there is a much sharper focus on all the work that they're doing now, particularly in light of Harry and Meghan stepping back from their royal duties. And earlier this week, we saw them take on the more sort of formal royal role in terms of their royal work when they attended a ceremony in central London to mark Holocaust Memorial Day. We saw Kate and William talking to Holocaust survivors. They lit candles in memory of those who'd suffered so much. And we also heard William give a very personal speech in which he spoke about his great-grandmother, Princess Alice, who had sheltered a Jewish family in her home, saving their lives during World War II in Nazi-occupied Greece. So there was a real mix of the personal and the formal in terms of what Kate and William were doing earlier in the week. And I think, we are going to see a lot more of them going forward now. They are very much the face of the younger members of the royal family, and we're going to see them increasingly take on the kind of work that might previously have fallen to the Queen.
All right. Daniela Relph, thank you so much, Daniela.